first here we're going to call a question of wealth. A question of wealth. When in the book, the first part of the book, we know it has 7 letters written. John is on this Isle of Patmos, having this revelation, and God has him write his feelings, his impression to 7 actual churches that exist at the time. Kind of makes you wonder, if God were to send us a letter, what might he say in our letter, right? But he sends these 7 letters. Now, the thing about these letters, why they are so important, well, that's interesting, 7 churches at basically 2,000 years ago. But no, it's more than that, because you see those 7 churches, even though that was their actual condition, and even though it was meant for them in a very literal sense, on the other side, it was speaking of 7 spiritual states, 7 levels, 7 standards that were going on within the churches. And all churches to this day seem to exist somewhere within these 7 standards. And as a matter of fact, I would dare say that churches being what they are, they're living things, we might even kind of vacillate between some of these. But these letters talk to us because we are somewhere in them. If we were to look at what God's opinion was, here's just a quick breakdown on it. There are 2 churches that are highly commended. There are 2 churches that are rebuked and very sternly, very harshly. And then there are the rest of the churches that are kind of a mixed bag, that they kind of mixed reviews, if you will. Interesting thing, taking a look at the extremes. The 2 churches that are highly commended. You know, what kind of churches were they? Well, for one thing, they were on the bottom of the social run. They were the poorest of all of the churches. They had the least resources, the least education, the least everything. But yet they are the most highly commended of God. The 2 that are the harshest in criticism, or receive the harshest criticism, are on the very top of the run. They are the richest churches. They are the ones with the greatest resources, the more access to education, the more good stuff that can go on. Probably if we went back there in our day, or if we have facsimiles in our day, it'd be the churches we think of as the real successful ones. Best buildings, mega churches, best resources. All of those things going on. And yet those, quote, successful churches are the ones that get criticized the most harshly. Kind of makes you wonder why, huh? Wonder why. Why did God's judgment come down the way that it did on those churches? Well, I wanted to share a little story with you. Luckily, I think in time's planning, I see the Doties must be off on another venture today. But they were here long enough for Mike to give me, I love it when the Doties come back, because in their travels he always comes back with some treasure for me like that. This time it was the transcripts from the chaplain where they were attending church for most of the time. They did a series called How to Be Rich. And it was some pretty interesting stuff. And strangely enough, it tied in directly with what we were doing this morning. And I just wanted to share. And basically what this pastor did when he started out this series was look at where do we fit in the global picture. And here in the United States of America, where do we fit in the global picture of wealth and prosperity? And it kind of gives you an interesting perspective. If we take the whole world situation into view, it would come down to this according to the pastor. He says, if you earn more than $26,000 a year, you are in the top 10% of the world. If you earn more than $45,000, you are in the top 1% of the world. If right now you were carrying $2 in your wallet, you are carrying the equivalent of a day's, even a month's salary of over 3 billion people in the world for you just to blow out a wind. If you own a car, you are very rich. If you own 2 cars, you are ridiculously rich, mega rich. If your house has a walk-in closet, you have a closet as big as the total living space of many people in the world. That's where we fit in. And so I think it's fair to say that whether we feel it or not, even with all our debts and everything else, that we may feel we're under the gun, we are rich. We are rich. As a matter of fact, I would like to get you to say that, if you would. On the count of 3, ready? And then I just hear a very affirmative, we are rich. 1, 2, 3. We are rich. We are rich. Now that I got you to admit you're rich, it was the rich churches that received that criticism. It makes you wonder why, doesn't it? Makes you wonder why. Let me put it out in one word. I know that you could come up with a number of things yourself, but let me put it out in one word: distraction. Wealth and distraction, or the distraction of wealth. In a spiritual sense, distraction really comes down to this: idols. We think of idols as those little stone figures back in ancient times, but that's really not what idols are. As a matter of fact, I heard a wonderful definition, especially for church people, for an idol. An idol is when we take any good thing and make it the ultimate thing. Any good thing and make it the ultimate thing. We've got lots of good things in our culture. Is it wrong that we should have $2 in our wallet to blow? Is money bad? No, it's a good thing. It's bad if it's an ultimate thing. And this goes on for everything, even in family relationships. For some people, I just seen there was enough of scenarios coming around for us that made me think of that. Some people, it looks so good. Family's coming. Family is everything. If we're having a family gathering, everything else goes on hold. I tell you, if family is your ultimate thing, then you have an idol. And that is not a good thing. As a matter of fact, the love that you have for your family will be tainted because your family is not meant to be the ultimate thing. There is only one thing that is meant to be the ultimate thing. Now, here's where I'm getting at. It's not to browbeat us or hit us over the head with the Bible and say, you know, you're naughty if you've got the wrong things as the ultimate thing. The thing is that we are crippled by making the wrong thing the ultimate thing. And we, as long as we do that, we're going to suffer consequences. And it's in love that God and God's messengers tell people to warn them about this kind of things. Now, just to put back to the global perspective a little bit. We have a prayer page, actually prayer pages that go out. They're online. They're out there in printed form. And if you happen to pray through or read through our prayer pages, you will find something. The opening page is the persecuted around the world. And on that page you can read some heartbreaking things. You can read things that, quite frankly, from our freedom of culture, we just can't even get our mind around how people could be persecuted that way as they are in there. Persecution, martyrdom for their faith. But as we look at this, I tell you this, and I tell you this from these letters from Revelation, that you and I are in more danger spiritually than those people. We are in more danger than they are. What is that? Can you really say that biblically? Well, let me share from Jesus in Matthew 19:23. Jesus says this to his disciples, "Assuredly I say to you that it is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven." We already established we're rich. This is talking about us. It is talking about us. And we have a mountain of good things vying to be our ultimate thing. That's why attendance can be low on a Sunday morning. There's a whole lot of good things that are the ultimate thing for that Sunday anyway. Danger. In wealth, in a Christian culture, what it has done is turned us from a first fruits culture to a leftovers culture. People are willing to give to churches, give to God's call. And when I say give, I am not simply talking money. I am talking everything. First fruits. There are so many things in our culture, but we end up in the plethora of stuff we have, giving God leftover finances, giving God leftover emotions, giving God leftover schedule, giving God leftover material things, Giving God leftover passion, giving God leftover. This is what I have left, God. If I have some, I'll give it to you on Sunday morning. But basically what we are talking is idolatry. The problem with wealth is it infests you with idolatry. It's all around you, just waiting to grab you. Leftover giving, in any sense, will spiritually cripple you. It will spiritually cripple you. That's why the point of putting it across is not about being naughty or nice, good or bad. It's about survival and quality of spiritual life. Some people wonder why they don't feel more blessing, why they don't feel more power of the Spirit if they believe. Because we're crippling ourselves. Our wealth can't do it for us. Christian culture itself is riddled with idols, buildings, positions, superstar pastors. Luckily, you don't have to worry about that one. All these things, idols, good things taking the ultimate place. You're rich. I'm rich. It's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. How does God feel if he sent a letter to a rich church? How about this one in Revelation 3, starting in 16? So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments that you can be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. There's the spirit of it. If we're told these things about ourselves, it's not because God hates us, it's because he loves us. It's because he loves us. Therefore, be zealous and repent. It is easy for you and I not to enter the kingdom of heaven. All we have to do is get distracted. Get distracted.